Hello and welcome back. We are the Pilgrims of Plunder. This is our podcast. And today, up front, so that you can stop watching should you care, we're going to talk about theology and philosophy as it pertains to the impact of AI on human existence,
Mhm.
which sounds very grand, and it'll be exciting for us. And if you're into that sort of stuff too, stick around. But as we have mentioned previously, just in passing. Yes, Pastor Doug and I have hobbies and things of interest beyond just the strict discussion and debate of theology, though, of course, our theological views influence all of our discussions anyway. One of our current exciting conversation topics has been AI over the past year or so. And today we feel like just talking about that. So so we're gonna
Well,
just talk about that.
because we talked about AI when it came out, and again, I want credit because I'm the one who told you about AI.
You
So,
are, which is
yep, yep,
hilarious given the fact that I
yep,
should have been on top of it in my line of work.
yep.
And yet I
Um,
was not.
so, and now you work in AI.
And now
So,
now it is literally my life and
yeah.
job. So yeah, I'm all for it.
So we talked about it when ChatGPT first came out a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
and I thought it'd be fun to reflect. I mean, if you want to get deep into theology and philosophy, we can.
Oh, do all the
Or, or
things. I don't care.
or my Star Trek role playing games now
I like
on
that as well.
ChatGPT. Yeah, there's that. But it's really now no longer a luxury. It's a utility.
Hmm.
I mean, it's up there with having the internet. I use it all the time,
Right.
and where it's going is both fascinating and terrifying. And we've had shows on the ethics of AI, and
That's
I
right.
still
Pastor Bot. We had a
yes,
Pastor Bot
yeah.
episode, man.
Which was a great episode because at first we're like we'll do this, and then at the end we're like no, this is Frankenstein.
Right. But it
Yeah,
was still, that was months ago, and that was
yeah.
just theory then. And I'm like, I think we've moved way past that as a very real experience.
I mean, I use it now. I hate saying it. I've been now saying if I had a choice between my library or ChatGPT, I would take ChatGPT. I use it all the time now for sermons, and
Hmm.
not that it writes my sermons, but to have a conversation with it about theology and scripture. And it's wonderful. Like last week's sermon fundamentally was based on something ChatGPT told me. Because I wanted to have a conversation. We're going through a policy on the Lord's Supper, and I wanted to find a sign and a seal of the covenant of grace, which is the classic Reformed definition of the sacraments. And I went and started talking about the covenant of grace, and I was basically blurring the covenant of grace and the new covenant together. And ChatGPT said, you're doing it wrong. You're kind of associating the old covenant solely with the covenant of works. That's contrary to the Westminster Confession. I'm like, oh, you're right. You're 100% right. And I realized, like, wait a minute, if I'm goofing this up, how many of my parishioners are goofing this up? So the whole sermon became just simply a definition of what's the New Testament, what's the New Covenant, and what's the covenant of grace. And it was a fun sermon. And I had several parishioners come up after me who know their theology. They're like, I did not think of that. Like the covenant at Sinai. Well, I'm going off the theological tangent,
No,
but
no,
the
go.
covenant at Sinai is actually not the covenant of works,
Hmm.
it's the covenant of grace.
Hmm.
And I knew that, but you just naturally, oh, law works, covenant of works, moving on.
Right.
Covenant of grace only in the New Testament. It's like, no, it's 100% wrong. And ChatGPT caught that. And so it's like, yay, the wisdom of this thing that might be the Antichrist. So, and, I mean, dieting advice, from medical advice. I mean, my wife, she hates it, but she always comes to me and has me do tasks for school. So she's not touching it. I'm the one who's defiled myself with the unclean thing, but she gets the byproducts. So
Right. Right. Yeah, the Uh, that insight also, by the way, was fantastic, and it is a very good theological insight to have or to be mindful of because yes, we tend to misremember the reality. Certainly, things uh, focused on or specified or clarified in the Reformation with Reformed understanding of things. And it is something that we don't think about, that the law, right, was a tutor. It pointed to the cross. It was a shadow and figure of grace. The
Yeah.
covenant of works being that which Adam violated. Right,
Solely
right.
Adam. It's a
Adam
pre-fall. Yeah.
messed up the covenant of works, which
Yeah.
necessitated the
Yeah.
proclamation of the covenant of grace, which was then revealed with
Yeah.
Christ in the
Yes.
incarnation.
Yes.
No, which is massively theologically impactful, very easy to kind of just
Yeah,
miss,
because I mean,
right?
law works
Right,
bad,
right,
works, I mean, justification, therefore, Sinai covenant of works. It's like,
right.
no, you jumped the shark there someplace.
And of course,
Yeah.
the advantage of AI in this
Yes.
situation is that it picked up the correct association,
Yes.
not that it somehow had a revelation itself.
Correct.
It just reminded you, hey, God revealed this already to the church. You forgot. Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a revelation. It's not smart. It just said, hey, this is a thing people already figured out a few hundred years ago. The just for context or for
Yeah.
reference, the Pastor Bot episode where we
Yeah.
discussed AI went live February 1st of last year.
Interesting.
So we probably recorded that before that day, obviously.
Yeah.
But we that was one of our early AI ponderings. Um, so yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
my first reference to AI was over 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first one.
Yep.
And it's been a while, though my latest video at Simply Reformed, the background graphics were all created by AI.
All of
And
our
now they're
all
animated.
right, all of our images, even
Yeah.
our first one, our first
Yeah.
episode was two
Yep.
years ago. That
Looks
was that was
yeah.
AI. So we've been interacting with it
And
for,
soon it will just replicate ourselves and we won't do
and then
anything.
we're
It'll just
done
be
and we don't need to
it'll be
do this
AI Doug
anymore.
and Greg speaking and then
Right, right.
yeah,
Which
is
and
coming.
I want to bring up you had
Yeah.
you had asked a question yesterday when we were talking about AI, and I want to refine my answer, I
Yes, yes.
guess. So the question was, in theory, could you just essentially replace people altogether in all areas?
Mhm.
And now that, of course, is the goal for people like Elon Musk. I forgot there's actually a term for those people. I mean, like within a technical sense, as far as their vision of what technology does or achieves. It's not transhumanism, but
Yeah.
it's very close to transhumanism. Um, but the idea is for Musk that with the advancements of AI and robotics, human work will be obsolete, right? Not necessarily that humans will be obsolete, but the goal, if you will, for him is to eliminate the necessity of human work. Now, the fundamental problem with this is that it confuses toil, which is a part of the fall, with work, which is pre fall, part of the created order. We should not obliterate work. Alleviating toil, I would say, is an act of charity because that's what being charitable and loving is. It's, helping that burden which exists because of sin amongst our neighbors, our brothers, so on and so forth. But to eliminate work altogether, no, that is a fool's errand. Um, but your question, which was specifically in the context of entertainment and media,
Hmm.
is could there be at one point the ability with a simple one or two-line prompt request be, generate me an episode of whatever, and it would fully just create for you a good,
Should
episode.
I set up the question fully?
30 minutes something. You can if you'd like. If I'm doing you a disservice.
Well, no, because there was a component you missed because it's
Okay.
been fascinating following your journey as someone who understands technology and now works in the field, and
Hmm.
to see your, and I don't mean this in a bad way, kind of
Yeah.
swings, and I understand it because like
Right.
sometimes like this is the Antichrist,
It's a
let's go
constantly
become
evolving
Amish,
environment. So
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
no, fully plug me in, in some places in
Right.
between.
Hook me into
And
the Antichrist. I,
and
for
you
one,
said
welcome
something
our
that
new robot overlords.
yeah, absolutely. And so you said something a while ago, which I thought was
Okay.
very helpful because I mean, I also have the same mood swings, like this is the end of the world. But you commented, is it you commented that no, this is a great tool. You just those who use it well will prosper in
Right.
the earthly sense.
Right.
That
Right. Right.
there's still going to be humans out there, and I thought about this,
Mhm.
and again, stupid example. I love the old 1990s Bruce Timm Batman series, and
Right.
it just to me it's one of the best cartoons ever, from long ago. And I'm like, wait a minute, and this is where AI almost borders on magic, sorcery, and again, amazing in the Antichrist.
Hmm.
I might be within the next year being able to make a 1990s quality television show,
Right.
and that's insane. And one sense, I think like that's amazing because for sake of argument, let's say I'm creative.
Hmm.
I'm good at writing characters and stories. For sake of argument, let's say I'm good at that. I know everyone has their screenplay, but run with it. But I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to paint, and I certainly don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on an animation studio in Korea or something.
Right.
And therefore, what an amazing thing it is that someone who has this one ability, very little resources, could create something that used to take hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's amazing. And I could create this beautiful, in theory, Batman TV episode. But then it hit me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if the AI can even do that?
Right.
What if you said, look, to whatever AI, type it and say, I want a really entertaining 22-minute Batman video, cartoon, hit and it comes up with something just as good, if not better, as someone skilled in writing and thinking. At
Right.
which point I'm like, well, then hasn't it just completely replaced us?
Yes.
And so that was my initial question for you.
Right.
Is there ever going to be a part where the human is in the thing, or is it no, no, there's no humanity whatsoever?
Right.
Because it'll be able to do whatever with the simplest of prompts
Right.
better than any human.
Right.
That was the
Right. No, no,
full
no, which
orb
is
of the
good. And
question.
thank you for that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did much better at it than I was. So, and a few things. And my original response was again kind of vision casting, right? Sure.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Yes, that your scenario is possible. Um, I want to maybe poke holes in that or caveat it, and we need to sort of step back even with some of the things that you were saying anyway, and address them quickly. So is is this amazing and is it beneficial to the people who know how to use it well? Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean that immediately all people get replaced by it because we
Right.
are still in a state where it is a powerful tool, not necessarily a replacement. That might not always be the case, right? We are in the, if you will, the year of what an amazing tool
Yeah.
until that tool develops to the point that it no longer is a tool and that it then can do it itself, without you using it essentially. Or you just design agentic AI to use AI and you just, remove yourself from it. Which again was sort of my point made. I'm like, yes, you could in theory now make various AI agents that have very refined and specific goals and the director agent and the lighting agent and so on and so forth and it would create media but all autonomously all through AI because you've created your synthetic film crew, right, in production and all of that. So in one sense, yes, that is possible. There are certain things which are interesting, and I think this gets to the greater discussion even on generative AI. And I think this is a lot of sort of the debate, though a greater debate exists to be had even beyond this point that I'm going to make. When we assign human standards of quality to synthetic output, it gets interesting. So, for the technical piece to this, which is necessary, the majority of people who interact with AI are an incredibly small minority of people in the world, first of all. So, most people don't care about AI. Awesome. Of the people who care about AI, the majority of them interact with what is known as generative AI, which is the models that generate or create things. They don't do something, they create something, they generate. And of those, the almost exclusive generative AI interactions are with a handful of what are known as frontier models. Gemini, ChatGPT, Grok. There's another big one that I'm just totally missing, but whatever. I'm like drawing a blank now. I'm like, whatever. So many models that I deal with. So Claude, there we go.
Yep.
Sorry, Anthropic. And Claude, right? So those are frontier models. They tend to be generalist models, supposed to kind of be good at everything.
Mm.
Um, the agentic, where you have models that do things specifically, is a different application of them, also can use very different models. The point that matters here is the strength and weakness, the praise and complaint about the frontier generative models is that they create the best of things and the worst of things.
Mm.
And it's not really the model, but it's the human expectation. And this isn't unique to human to technological or synthetic interaction, but even human to human interaction. There's a reason why art is so varied. It's because different people have different artistic desire and expectation. And which is why you have countless genres of music, because there isn't one good genre of music. So when a model generates something good, that's totally subjective. That makes the model really bad at knowing what good is. Because, much like humans, but whereas humans have subtleties and intuition and an ability to comprehend reality in a way that synthetic thinking cannot, a model that tries to generate good output that doesn't have a concrete standard or definition of good will never generate good output.
But
It'll
won't
only
it
ever
have that?
generate output that a human says was good.
But
But
but but
now,
wouldn't it have that as part of its training though?
but it's trained on what good is, and good is subjective to its trainers.
So,
When it
but
comes to things, hold on, when it comes to things like art, there
yeah.
is no, and this is debated, and I even debate it, but for sake of argument,
Mm.
there is no objective standard of good art in general. No,
Yep.
no, no. We've
I
we've
know, I know,
we've
I know.
had
We've
we've
had
had
this. Yeah,
debates
yeah,
on
yeah,
this. No,
yeah,
no, no.
yeah. Yeah.
But even because to be fair, there is good postmodernist art and there is
Fair,
good Renaissance art, but
right?
those are not the same good compared to one another. Right? If you say that Renaissance good is the only good, you've
Yeah,
now thrown away all other genres or
yep,
time frames of
yep.
art, which is wrong, right? You've actually done a disservice. Now, training, there are models which are trained within total objectivity. So there are models that are trained on an objective outcome. Math, programming, a lot of disciplines of science, those are objective insofar as it will work or it won't work.
Right.
And so a model can quickly train, be highly capable and highly efficient on writing code because code is not art. Code is science, right? There is code is logic. It's going to work or it's not going to work. So generative models that can write stories suck at writing code because they were trained to be human and humans are bad at writing code. The models like Liquid AI that uses pure reinforced learning, name dropping, their model is phenomenal at writing code because it wasn't trained to think like a human. It was trained with an objective outcome and it was allowed to think like a machine. It writes amazing code. It couldn't write you a short story or a haiku because those aren't objective. So, all of that, could a model create a good episode of your Batman series? In a complete reduplication? Perhaps. In a novel way? No.
I
Because
can I jump in now?
novelty is undefined when it comes to good. It
See, now
becomes subjective. But
yeah,
anyway,
but I'm so let's go to
now
the
there are
Batman
there are
thing.
holes in this straw man, which I
Yeah,
am
yeah, no,
very
no,
aware of as I'm saying
because
it.
I want to go two examples because the
Yes.
definition of the good is fascinating.
Yes.
Um, so if I say I just simply want I want a good, I'm going to put an
Yep.
adjective in to make it a little help. I want a
Sure.
good animated or good cartoon Batman episode.
Right.
Would not the AI be able to research and know, oh, these episodes
Yes.
from these shows are
Yep.
considered some of the
Good.
best?
Hmm.
And therefore, it's going to create something along those things. Why is this episode
Right.
considered the best episode from whatever TV show?
Yeah.
And therefore, it will create something new. I'm not sure
Yep.
if there's anything
Yeah.
new
No,
under
no,
the
no, no,
sun.
no, no. Run with that. That's true.
Yeah.
It's
So
new in a
so it's
vague
going to be
sense.
new and it's
Yep.
going to be based on something that is superior,
Hmm.
and therefore it has a, dare I use a bad word, a chance,
Right.
or more likely will create something better than a skilled human being,
Yes.
at least on a consistent level.
Yes. On a technical level.
So why not? So then
So yes.
it can create a good Batman episode.
So right. If it is if is that reduction or is this reductive? If you reduce down the different elements, what is a
Yeah.
good story? What is good animation? What is a good arc? What are good characters? And you base that off of whatever its training data is or community feedback, viewer ratings, whatever. And it synthesized those different good elements together into a new episode. Would that episode be good? And could it know to do this without being directed to do it? Right. If it
If you just said
understood,
good, I
no,
want
no,
a
no.
good
Right, right,
Batman
right. That's the
cartoon
point.
episode.
Right. If internally it
Yeah.
knew that good meant dissect statistically the
Yeah.
wealth of TV shows and Frankenstein them together to a new episode. This is or should be statistically good. So, yes, is that possible? Yes. Is
So
it novel?
therefore,
Would it therefore be novel? In one sense, it would be because
yeah.
you don't want to reject the fact that there are only 8 notes, right,
Yeah.
in music,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
therefore, therefore there shouldn't you shouldn't be able to keep making music because there are only 8 notes. But the point isn't that there are 8 notes; it's the arrangement of those 8 notes that makes music unique from score to score.
So so
Um,
there has to be some adjectives,
right,
but I would think there in eventually there's going to be minimal adjectives.
right,
So if I say write me a great speech and create it verbally, show it on the screen.
sure, sure,
So, Demosthenes, Churchill, Lincoln,
right,
it's going to be like it's going to go like those are the great writers, the great orators of all time.
Right.
And so therefore it will default to that, and it'll have Sir Lawrence Olivier speaking it because, of course. But if you say, I want a great, I don't know, testosterone blue collar speech, you'll probably get Randy the Macho Man Savage speaking because that guy has the coolest voice ever. And so it will go that direction. So
Right.
there's going to be, I assume it would default to Demosthenes or Churchill as the default, but as you add adjectives, it's going there. So
Right.
I guess there's some human creativity, but it's going to be so minimalistic.
I'm trying to like steelman the pro-human camp in all of this.
Because I mean, because right now, I mean, I was watching Joe Rogan and they were having this conversation, and he goes like, my favorite music right now is AI music
Yeah,
because someone has taken the
it's really
style of
good.
music he likes,
Yeah.
about lyrics he likes,
Yep.
jammed it together,
Yeah.
and therefore, it immediately appeals to him. And I,
Yeah. There it is.
and,
There's some really good,
and
purely AI created music.
oh, there's
There
there's a
really is.
there's one AI visual artist I follow. What's his name? I forgot. And he admits he's AI. This is not, I am not
Yep.
an artist, but he is an art historian, or
Right.
at least his background in art history, understands the various techniques. And so when he prompts it, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the big meta question I had for you, because right now I read how he does it. He spends a lot of time
Yep.
getting the right prompts,
Yep.
redoing it. There's work involved to
I
get
already I
this
already know
good.
the answer. It just occurred to me.
Yeah. And okay.
Yep.
And my
Continue.
question is
Yep.
how much does it eventually become there's less and less work to almost
Yep.
I want a good picture.
Yep. So so there is a training technique which
Hmm.
was recently abused, and it's known as distillation. Right? So to
Okay.
distill. So this is a
Yeah.
valid training technique when you develop smaller models. So what you do
Yeah.
is you invest an insane amount of money into a massive model. It knows everything itself, right? It would score very high on novelty solutions, right? If it never saw it in its training data and you presented it with a novel situation, it could figure it out because
Yeah.
it knows these things. Those models are really expensive. They're
Okay.
also huge. So what companies do is you distill that knowledge down. You craft a series of high quality prompts and you ask the big smart model, and the answers it gives, that becomes the input training data for the smaller model. So you create a student. This smaller model can operate between 90 to 95% accuracy comparably about questions and answers. But it's really only parroting what its larger teacher model understood. But you get a very small, very efficient model because you've distilled down the knowledge into a smaller student model. So that was recently abused. This is how people, this is this is how the Chinese make their models. They distill our models down, and it's all a masquerade. DeepSeek sounds smart and it's resource efficient, not because it's a good big model, but because it's distilled off of Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT. Right? It's theft at that point.
Yeah.
So, um, why do I bring that up? So, what you're describing, a human has taken the time to get down to a science, high quality prompts, and has the output. You
Yeah.
just take those two things, that's distilled. You can create a new model off of that, which means 90 to 95% of the time, if somebody interacts with this new distilled model, they won't need as high quality of prompt because it'll already understand how to kind of map that. and it will create ridiculously good quality output because it already understands that's what it should be doing. It's not actively processing. And so it eliminates a lot of the mess that somebody else figured out. Now, once a human figured out how to do it once, or to be
Yeah.
fair, a different model, because that
Yeah.
process can also be taught,
Right, right.
you now eliminate the need for the human because you've taught a machine either how to prompt better and how to generate better outputs, or how to interpret poor prompts and upscale them and
So,
generate high quality outputs. Yes, so we they are already doing this through distilling. In fact, this is how
so,
models are trained iteratively. This is how they keep building them and improving upon them by both organic and synthetic training materials.
so let me put it simplistically.
Hmm.
In the 1990s, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini made
Yep.
really good Batman cartoons.
Yep.
And old school. Yeah, massive budget, Hollywood, Japanese,
Oh
South
yeah.
Korean animators, so on and so forth. And they made, I think, one of the best cartoon series ever. Bruce Timm, right now, sitting down with the AI, could bypass a lot of the studio money and
Yes.
stuff
Yep.
and create a now amazing cartoon because he's Bruce Timm, he understands stories, yada, yada, yada,
Right.
and would know how to prompt it. Is there a point where me, Hunting Pecking, says, "Good, give me good Batman cartoon,"
Right.
would do just as good as Bruce Timm on the computer?
Sure. Yes. I mean, again, in
Okay.
theory,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the model, a well-trained
Yeah.
model doesn't need you to understand anything. It's been trained, and now this is kind of the pivot in our conversation, what I want to get
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has been trained. You no longer have to stand upon the shoulders of giants. It's already doing that. Right. Right now, it's an art and a science to prompt them.
Yes.
But that's right now. And
Yes.
they're still training off of good prompts and good
Yeah.
outputs. We're actively doing this. Will we find a time sooner rather than later where humans who know how to prompt well are no longer required?
That's
Yes,
my question.
because that's, as far as human existence is concerned, the ability to write a good prompt is new because
Yes.
this has never existed before. Good
Right.
prompts technically don't exist in the corpus of training data for AI because AI has never originally been trained on a human interaction with
Yeah.
AI. That data
Yeah.
set didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more we interact, the more we generate a new class of human content, prompts, critiques, feedback. That now becomes a whole new category of data to train the next generations on. So AI will get better at just doing its own thing because it will have been trained on, like everything else, human generated content. But it's human generated content that isn't between humans, but how humans interact with AI. So they'll get better because they'll be trained on how we have interacted with them. And they'll be refined, so on and so forth. Which gets to,
Yeah.
so that's the the easy thing with that.
Mm.
But the interesting point, the standing on the shoulders of giants, and I think this is the, as we were talking about yesterday, the absolute upending of human existence.
Yeah.
For generations of human existence, man, secular man, pagan man, has attributed creation to mankind.
Yes.
Man creates. We create music. We create art. We create intellect through academia. I don't know how you want to try to phrase that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We create. We therefore praise talent. We praise competency. We are a very merit focused people.
Yes.
We have long abandoned the reality that God creates.
Right.
man but steals and copies.
Right.
An AI that can make an amazing Bruce Timm Batman episode
Yeah.
isn't doing anything differently than what Bruce Timm was doing. Now, the fact that one person can do this is a lowering of the barrier to entry,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes. Which that's exciting
Right, which is
in one
very
way.
exciting. It's the democratization of what was a
Yeah.
completely guarded
Yeah.
domain, right?
Yes.
Hollywood, you can't compete with Hollywood. You have to
Yeah.
be India to compete with Hollywood. Like that should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
Um there
Now you
you
can.
can't get into that. Now you
Yeah.
can. Now we're starting to democratize
Yeah.
entertainment, which
Yeah.
is a big deal. But it's ultimately nothing new. Good artists copy, great artists steal, which was
Yeah.
not the words of an AI, but a human artist.
Yeah.
It was understood that no one does anything novel. We all just observe and then rearrange and output. That
Nothing
that
new
like
under the
that is like the
sun.
greatest reduction of all
Yeah.
things. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's true. God, however,
Yeah.
is the only one who creates something from nothing. Man, since he was created, has only ever operated within creation. Man doesn't create anything. So when AI makes a thing, all the humans are very quick to say it's slop, it's synthetic, it's
Yeah.
disingenuine, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, no, it's just doing what people do. And even to that point of can you define good? And like I was saying, there's no good art, which is a lie. There is objective good even within art,
Yeah.
but you can break it down and create something that's amazingly objectively good. It upsets people who want art to be art instead of acknowledging that art is science. And I get that that's upsetting. But if and since art is science, that means that it's grounded in observable external
Yep.
reality,
Yep.
which means human art isn't an internal creation. It's a processing of an external objective reality, which is why there's good art and bad art for those very reasons.
Right.
So, and I can't just sort of in closing of the thought, I can't help but to be immediately reminded of that scene in the movie Dead Poet Society,
Ugh.
where they were reading the introduction chapter on poetry,
Yeah.
and it was a technical breakdown on how to write good
Yep.
poetry.
Yep.
And Robin Williams' character, the teacher, he has his
Yep.
student read it, reads it all, and then he
Yeah.
instructs his students because he's like drawing the graph and all of this, the technical
Yeah.
breakdown. And he says, rip that chapter out of your book. That's not poetry. And
Yeah.
I laugh because, of course, you're supposed to go, oh, that's so beautiful. And da, da.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's wrong.
Yeah.
There is an actual system to poetry, right?
Yeah.
Good
Absolutely.
poetry. Um, it's studied. Now, did it always exist that way? No. Has it changed over time? Yes. Right? You can break down Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven,
Yeah.
which was a novel poem. It was a standard. It became a standard for certain types of poetry. It was unique, but none of it was creation. It was just a novel arrangement of something that already existed,
Yep.
which is why everybody has
We're off,
influences, right?
which we're
They're
off to the ontological argument for the existence of God, but that's probably for another episode.
right, right. But anyway, so that I
Um,
think is one of the interesting points. We, and
so,
like I
but,
said yesterday to you, the issue is that our idolatry is being threatened. This
but
new
it,
idol, AI,
yeah.
is threatening our self idolatry, right?
So
All the
is,
things we want to attribute to humanity that machines can do better. We're angry because now we can't praise and worship ourselves because,
threatening idolatry is a good thing.
but
But
we're threatening it with a different idol.
is this not therefore on some level? I say it's only half tongue in cheek.
Right.
The
No, it's
Antichrist.
it's it's the Antichrist, right? Because we are
Um,
we, we are introducing a new idol. which means what we're experiencing are the
Yep.
death pangs of human idolatry.
And so therefore back to
It'll
again
shift to AI idolatry soon.
one of my I think arguments, one of my vision casting prophecy here,
Yep.
is again we've talked about this. I think we'll end up worshiping it, and I mean
Yes.
literally, not
No.
just
Yeah,
plugging this
yes.
ourselves in, via the Matrix because we want to live in a fantasy world or what Player One, whatever that movie was by
Ready Player One. That
yeah,
was it.
not just that,
Right.
but literally we'll worship this thing.
Yes. Yes, we will.
Um,
I think people already have.
and therefore it's the Antichrist.
Yes. Yes, it is. Well, I mean, which is all joking aside, that's a
Yeah.
very, very interesting concept to ponder because
And because like I said, as we started the episode, I'm using it all the time.
yes,
And
I do
I'm
as well.
using it, I think, for good. As again, I
I
began the
do.
episode.
Yes.
It helped me with a sermon last
Hmm.
week,
Yep.
which is extraordinary. It's the best commentary ever because you get to interact with it.
Right.
It's like, no, I don't understand what you just said. Explain it to me in one sentence. Boom.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's extraordinary. And I know enough of theology in the Bible as I'm pretty good at catching when it makes mistakes because there's the hallucination thing
Right.
and the agreeable thing. But as just where this is taking us, and I hate because yeah, part of being an American and being a man of the West is progression is good. You should
Right.
not be. Was that?
No. No,
Did you
you're good.
did you Oh, I thought is progression is good. You should not be afraid of technology. Technology, you should embrace it,
Right.
but harness it and master it. I mean, that's military, philosophy for how many that's why the West is so great at warfare is we embrace technology. We're willing to change.
Right.
And it's made us insanely powerful.
Right.
The Western approach to warfare. But we've talked about is this something that's different? This is not just the printing press. This
Sure.
is because we've created something that can think, and we've created something by our definition is creative. I know I was
Right.
talking to a friend of mine who's in business, and he's very like, yeah, this is just a hype. This is not a big thing. And I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with you. I
Mm.
think it's a huge big thing. I said, let's try an experiment. I said, I went to ChatGPT and I said, look, and opened a new window. I'm like, look, I'm bored. Tell me something interesting.
Hmm.
And I was wondering, was it going to give something like, it knows I'm a Calvinist. It knows I like
Right.
Star Trek. It created this really cool poem about a bell in the center of a village. And it just talked about the effect of the bell on the village. And
Hmm.
I've never talked about bells or anything, and I'm like,
Right. Huh.
that was really creative. That
Right.
was really interesting. It was slightly a mystery, but not fully. I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, my soul feels better after reading that.
Right.
And I'm like, wow. So
No.
I don't know where I'm going with this,
No.
but
No. No.
it's
Absolutely.
I mean, one last thought.
Yeah.
That great line by C.S. Lewis: "Greater possibility for good, greater possibility for evil."
Right. So.
And it's terrifying because, as we talked about on the phone yesterday, there's always this clinging for older generations, my
There's
generation.
always a Klingon.
There's always a Klingon.
There's always
Fuck.
Klingons. Picard.
Anyways, way too much
Yes.
Star Trek. There's always this like thought that humanity is superior.
Right.
Yes, we'll make a machine, but we'll never make a machine that'll beat us in chess or
Right.
in Go. We'll never make a machine that could create art or music or understand humor. We are going to, in the end, be, if you will, the God in the system, small g.
Right.
And I think my question was still trying to cling on to that at least there's got to be a human who will give a creative prompt, and therefore humanity over the soulless machine.
Right.
And of course, it has no soul. I
It
understand
has
that.
no soul. Yes.
But
So,
From what you're telling me, and
well,
I agree, I'm clinging on to, and I intentionally used images
right,
of things. Of course, it's easily surpassed.
right,
I mean, like there was no way a computer could learn to play chess as
right,
good as a human.
right. So
So,
a number of
yeah,
number of things, and
yeah,
what you're describing, of course, is what's known as human in the loop, and so
yeah,
that is a big
yeah,
deal when it comes to agentic AI.
yeah,
Uh, it's also known as supervised autonomy. All right, so
yeah.
you obviously you build a system that can operate purely autonomously, but you don't allow it to. So there is still that to keep in mind that
Yeah.
a capability is not necessarily a guaranteed reality because we do still intentionally currently have human in the loop by design, right? People are building systems that intentionally require human intervention, human approval, so on and so forth.
But that's optional in the future.
Now, unless somebody like enforces that
Yeah.
across the board, right, it gets into that thing. Also, just like super quick footnote,
Yeah.
all AI isn't the same. All
Sure.
models aren't the same. Like I'm saying, like the fact that there's a category for frontier model, like Gemini and ChatGPT, that's one occurrence of AI.
Yep.
There are tons of different models of different size, different training, different functionality, different specialization that are already everywhere and they're amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite one is embedded into pacemakers and it learns the normal rhythm of the person's heart so that it can preemptively identify arrhythmia or issues.
And by how beautiful is that?
And
Praise
that's an
God.
amazing
Yeah.
application
Yeah.
of a small language model
Yeah.
that's embedded on a device implanted into a human heart. Like that's really cool. Anyway, that's also AI, right?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah. Yeah. And
you
that's why
can't
it's so beautiful and
right.
terrifying
You
all at the
can't have a
same time.
conversation with it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But still, I don't think it would be able to tell you much beyond, this is this is how the guy's heart beats. But anyway,
No Klingons.
no
Yeah.
clay. So uh there's kind of that. Um
Yeah.
the yes, so like the human in the loop thing, yes, that still exists. It's currently a thing that's also generally advisable for most things, most people,
Yeah.
most applications or situations that we're designing. The um there is absolutely a though this is not a fad,
Yeah.
it is, and I will concede objectively, there is definitely a bubble in two ways. There is an economic bubble around AI because there are only a handful of multi-billion dollar companies that are just shuffling around money amongst
Yeah.
themselves,
Yeah.
right? That will pop and there will be fallout to that.
Yeah.
However, AI won't go away. The same way with the dot-com bubble that
Yeah.
destroyed a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
but the internet's still around. People still
Yeah.
have websites. We're still like, right? The technology's not going to go anywhere. It'll definitely be impacted by that type of collapse. But we'll carry on with life.
I have, oh,
Um,
sorry.
the other thing, and again, the impact of AI is only going to be as much as it is adopted. Because again, going back to the beginning of the conversation,
If it's superior, it will be adopted.
um,
What's that great quote? Civilization exists because civilization is a military advantage.
right. Well, I mean, but military application, to be very specific, military application of AI is a lot less about writing novels or generating TV shows.
Sure.
Right. It's the ability to process a dynamic environment for
But if
tactical
it's going
advantage.
to, but
It'll be everywhere.
if it's superior in everything that it does,
Right.
it will come. I
Oh
mean,
no, no. Well, I guess maybe adoption's the wrong word.
yeah,
Prevalence might be more accurate.
yeah,
Technology, and this is the thing, because I think the debate around this is like every other piece of technology. Will this be the singular existent thing that matters.
What
Maybe.
else would it be if,
However,
I mean, wouldn't let me jump in.
okay.
Wouldn't that, if there's this singularity,
Careful with
um,
that. That means something.
yeah,
That's not what I'm
yeah, I
talking
know, I know,
about.
I know, I know. That
Right,
was
right.
intentional. Um, it would have to think on its own, and that's always like,
Oh,
well, no,
oh
that
well,
will never
singularity,
happen.
yes, that actually literally would mean
Yeah,
true autonomy,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
self-awareness, so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right, and that's a
So, and
different
that's what
conversation.
makes
I do
it.
want to touch on that,
Yeah,
but real
I
quick,
have two other questions.
technological advancements, and because you even referenced the printing press. Did the printing press revolutionize human existence? Yes.
Yes.
However, did it bring about a utopia? No. Did it bring about a dystopia? No. We tend to think along the lines that technological advancement can only result in one extreme, positively or negatively. Either you end up with Star
Sure.
Trek or you end up with cyberpunk.
Yeah.
None of those have happened. Now, I'm not going to say that they can't. This is a very novel technology.
Exact
However,
because it's
however,
so different.
I get
That's
it. I
that's the
get it.
thing.
I
Yeah.
do want to say though, every other novel technology was so different
No.
and greater than all previous technological advancements. Now, I
No.
get you can still make the same argument, yes, but
No.
not like this,
Yeah.
which is the exact
And
same
that's
thing that
the
everybody else
part
has ever said.
because
Not like
I mean
this.
the printing press, of course, we had printing before the printing press. They're called monks,
Yes.
and they sit in
Yeah, but look at all the
scriptoriums.
hallucinations and errors that they
Oh,
brought about.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. Again, and I may be wrong. I mean, I hope you're right. This is just another technological
I think it's
advancement.
huge.
It will have tremendous impact,
Yep.
both positively and negatively,
It'll integrate
because
though.
that's what technology does.
Yes.
That's one option. I hope that's
Yep.
right. Or is it,
Is it going to become God? Right.
is this something that's ne we've never done
Right.
anything like this?
So I think the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
so AI in and of itself, I believe will become an integrated part of our daily lives,
Already is.
like all other technology.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I say this is
Electricity.
right, but no. But one of the
Yeah.
reasons I say this is economics. The AI that can write you a novel has less economic viability than an AI that can perform a particular task. Now, again, that depends on what market you're talking
But
about. But my point being, AI generally will be everywhere, but it won't be everywhere the way that a singularity God AI would be everywhere. It would be everywhere in the fact that this model exists for a purpose and it has a specialized market and target audience and it will be there, but it won't
but
be somewhere else.
but
So there
there's
will be a
no
diversity, just like well, I don't know, it's cars.
but
Can we say
no, no,
cars? They're all cars, but
but
they're all different.
you take, if you take, and that was my original question with the whole
That's how
crazy
AI
Star Trek
works.
episode.
They're just cars.
Is it, if you lose, the printing press destroyed some industries and created
Yes.
others.
Right.
I mean, doing away with a buggy whip is always the example.
Right.
I looked up the term. I think this is what the AI told me
Uh-huh.
to illustrate the thing. Because I asked it what was Elon Musk's word for describing AI replacing all human work.
Right.
And interesting word, the AI said abundance.
Yes,
The
because it's
age,
post scarcity,
it's post-scarcity, age of
post work,
abundance.
post scarcity. Yes.
And of course, what a beautiful word, because who
Yep.
wants scarcity when you can have
Right. When
abundance?
you can have
Such a modern
abundance.
concept.
Right.
But if, okay, it can do everything,
Sure.
then you don't have, then you literally have no one working.
Well, right, but that's the goal,
And that's a
which we've talked about before.
disaster.
Oh no, of
And
course it
that's,
is.
yeah,
Yes, because you end up like Wally. Everybody's just
and
fat floating around on a little thing drinking smoothies.
therefore this is this is different than anything else that's come before, because the printing press destroys some industry, creates others, as with all technology. I
Yes.
mean, robotics has destroyed a lot of blue collar jobs, but created a whole bunch of white collar jobs.
Right.
And
And
that's always been the, well, post-war consensus, to use
right.
that crazy
This will
term.
destroy all those white collar
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But if when you take the AI and combine it with robotics,
Right.
don't you destroy
Which is the
everything?
goal. Yes, you destroy everything at that point. So
So it is fundamentally different than anything else we've ever created.
I
When you
I well, with its yes, it is fundamentally different, just like everything else is fundamentally different because it could destroy everything. Well, and again, it also creates a whole bunch of new things, at least in the interim, right? So this has already created a lot of jobs, a lot of refinement, a lot of improvement, so on and so forth. Um, if is that
your
job
job.
creation sustainable? I doubt it. Right, because most of what was the last statistic that I saw?
Well,
I think layoffs within AI industries, the latest go
yeah,
around of the layoffs were the people who trained the AIs. Right, which was the irony that the
yeah,
people who were creating the AI said the AI would replace everyone else's job, and what they managed to do was create AI to the point that they were no longer needed. We've
yeah,
now ended in a generally a synthetic training loop. AI
right.
trains AI. You don't need the humans
Well,
anymore.
in the
So,
future, is your job going away?
um, oh boy, I hope so. My job, no, 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 honestly, my job is security.
Yeah,
If you could give me a world where security engineers are no longer needed, that's a good world. That's like, should there be police? Yes, as long as there's crime. Could you envision a world where police aren't needed? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't it be beautiful to live in a world where you don't need cops because nobody's murdering each other or stealing, so on and so forth? Oh, not needing security engineers, that would be a beautiful world. That means that AI would be able to create secure systems perfectly. That's really good. A lot of people
I'm not
suffer
sure.
from a lot of insecurity within the tech world. So no, I'm all for that. I mean, by the time that happens, Lord willing, I'll be dead, and I won't have to worry about looking for a new job. But um, is it fundamentally unique? Yes, I would actually say that the better comparison is contraception, not the printing press, because of impact. It is a revolutionary technology that theoretically has a lot of positives, but ultimately may result in the destruction of all that is good. Contraception destroyed the necessity for the family.
Yep.
AI might destroy the necessity for the work. And so you've now undone two pillars of pre-fall
Yeah.
creation, right?
Yeah.
Reproduction and work.
Yep.
So it is as good and bad to humans as contraception
But
is.
it's still different than
Oh, it's absolutely different.
it is again that I'm repeating the same thing over
No, it
again.
is different. I'm not arguing the
Yeah,
novelty
that
of the
ability
technology.
to think.
Sure.
And that I
Well,
actually we're almost out of time because I do have one other technical question because I
yeah.
mean there's so many philosophical
Before you do,
implications
because
here.
I'm sure somebody, if anybody watched this, somebody would have thought of a thing that we didn't talk about, and I just want to quickly touch on super, super, super quick. The one thing that AI lacks, in addition to a soul, but because it lacks a soul, it will never have wisdom. It may have knowledge, it may have intelligence, it may be
I'm
able to
not sure.
think, but
I
because it
don't I'm
has no soul, it will never possess wisdom. It will never know truth. All truth, all wisdom is from the mouth of God by revelation.
that
Because it
I agree with you in the
because it
broad
lacks a
sense,
soul, it can never
but
have
we have
revelation.
to we have to describe because we talked about this again
Right.
off the time, and we have a minute left. I have a more
All
technical
right, no,
question
we could talk
because
about wisdom and
if
revelation later.
if I ask ChatGPT what advice would you give me for a diet,
Hmm.
it's going to give me wisdom.
That's not wisdom, though.
We have and therefore we have to
Right.
define that
Well,
term.
no, no, no.
But
It's not. That's not Chat GPT's wisdom.
but
Right. but yes, the conversation of wisdom is definitely interesting.
We need to do that because we
Yep.
have to define it does have a soul. Totally agree with that
Right.
though. We are going to head
But wisdom
we're
is
going
in
to
the
have
mouth of
ethicists we are
God.
going to have ethicists who are going to argue the AI has rights. That's definitely coming.
Oh
As Star
yeah.
Trek predicted.
Oh,
But
well,
my
look, we
I have a
already
narrow question.
animals don't have souls, and we already have
I
given
know,
them rights.
I know. So technical question, and
Sure.
the question itself may be flawed. So let me ask it, and then actually we're done.
Yep.
I have been told that AI, and I'm going to use non-technical terms because I don't understand it,
No, that's fine.
that some AIs function very good as a left brain, some function very good as a right brain.
Yes.
I think it's like Troutfish is the best chess computer, phenomenal at destroying any chess master,
Right.
but you're not going to talk to it in stories.
Correct.
Or ChatGTP cannot play checkers or cannot play chess to save its life.
Right.
There's great comic videos of someone trying to play chess against ChatGPT and says, "Oh yes, of course I can do it," and it just is horrible. Is there I guess is am I using left and right as a correct concept in AI? And is there a point, I know that I think they're working on it, that you could have an AI that does both left and right equally well?
Um, um, uh, yes. So the
End
terms
of
are
episode.
fine. The end. So in theory, the the distinction, or at least the language used, is accurate, right, between left and right brain. That's how we understand the different
Yes.
categories of thought.
Yeah.
Creativity versus logic, right?
Yeah.
So, or creativity versus reason, however you want to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yes, there are models that are very good at one thing and not very good at the other, just like, to be fair, and as I always kind of like to point out, the human brain we speak of as a single organ because it is,
Yeah.
but it's not
Yeah.
functionally a single organ. There
Yeah.
are regions
Yeah.
to the brain, right? We don't multitask consciously when it comes to breathing, walking, digestion, heartbeat, so on and so forth. Uh, there are dedicated parts of the brain that handle those functions. So in the AI world, that already exists. It's known as mixture of experts, MOE. So a
Interesting.
mixture of experts is essentially either, in practice, they're specialized neural nets within a model or separate models that can communicate with one another. But those neural networks light up, to use the human term,
Yeah. Yeah.
based off of the topic. And
Okay.
so the mixture of experts is what you we would love to work toward and to get down perfectly, because then you would end up with ideally what is known as AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which means a single model functionally is an expert at everything. And so one of the ways that we're trying to achieve AGI is through mixture of experts. If you can create synthetically what the human brain is, right? Different regions that work in concert, you will end up with, in theory, artificial general intelligence. You would have one model that would be a
Rule
expert
them all.
mathematician
Yeah.
and an
And
expert artist.
do you think we'll get there?
I'm sure we'll get there, because that's not a conceptual limitation. I think
Yeah.
right now that is, let me walk that back. Do I think we'll hit true AGI? Probably not, or at least not anytime soon. In the purest sense,
Yeah.
AGI is, again, at this point, pure sci-fi.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is it is a fully synthetic human mind, if you will.
Yes.
Right. Um, can we ever achieve AGI? I don't know. Can we get close with really well designed mixture of experts, MOE? Sure, there are already models out there that are really good MOEs. Um, Actually, I think Grok is by design MOE. And so how well it can handle all of that uh, is a technical hurdle yet to be overcome, but I do believe it's able to be done. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure we will put together a very good full brain that will
I just,
outperform the current landscape of frontier models. Um, but right now, we're still not there. Even the best MOE is still not as good as a pure reinforced learning math model.
I
And
have,
the
sorry,
just and real quick, one of the reasons why it's not as good at math is
no,
also because it's massive.
yeah,
So MOEs are massive models. Specialized models are very small. And honestly, that is a consideration of overhead, cost,
yeah.
efficiency.
You glue them together.
Right.
You
Right.
you
And
sub,
MOE
yeah,
might
yeah,
be able to eventually be give you a highly accurate mathematic response,
yeah,
but a specialized model is going to do it way faster because it doesn't have the whole brain to deal with, essentially. But those are technical hurdles, which, I mean, my goodness, the efficiency of models now compared to a
yeah.
year ago
Oh, I know,
and
I know.
the performance of those models, because it's not just that they've gotten better, they've actually gotten better while getting more efficient, which is insane, and you shouldn't be able to do that, but that's what we're doing. Right. So, oh no,
I have
anyway.
tons of other questions, but I do need to end this.
Okay, we'll end
Um,
it.
I want to have the debate. I think AI has wisdom, but it gets to defining wisdom,
Yes.
and that bothers me that I say that. But we need to have that conversation.
Yes, we do. We need to discuss wisdom.
Um, so
Uh-oh, you cut out.
then I guess we're done. So that was interesting. More to
Yes.
come.
Yes. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.